Hi, everybody. It's Liz Glass with Jones Hollow Realty Group on the South Shore of Long Island. Welcome to Lowdown with Liz Glass. Today I have with me Tom Tezak from Maui, Hawaii. How are you, Tom?
Aloha.
Thank you for
Al-
joining us. Aloha.
Life is amazing. Thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about my world with you.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I went to Maui once many years ago and really did not want to come back. But for me, it was a 12-hour flight. And my family, my friends are all on Long Island. So it would have been a really big move for me. But believe me, there's been a million times since I've thought about it. How about you? How did you end up being a realtor in Maui?
My wife and I grew up in Joliet, Illinois, which is just south of Chicago. And on our honeymoon, when we got married, we looked to go in all different places, and I wanted to go someplace crazy and exotic. And finally, I just settled on Maui. It was like, okay, we'll go to Hawaii, and we absolutely fell in love with it. Uh, so after about 5 years, we went back on a little mini second honeymoon after we had a baby, and 8 years after we got married, we were making our third set of reservations in 1 year. And it's a long flight from Chicago. It was that 10, 12-hour flight as well.
Oh,
And when we were making our third set of reservations, we just looked at each other and said, you know what? We just need to move there. And I had a retail store, and I was a realtor, and I had some other stuff that I was doing in Illinois. And we just made the commitment to change gears. And when we decided, when in 8 years, we had one little girl, and by the time we moved, which was 18 months later, we had a new baby. So we moved to Maui with a 3-month-old and a 6-year-old, and it was a journey. We didn't know anybody on the islands, and it's just been an amazing, amazing journey. And just we love Maui.
oh, I'm so jealous. I wish I had the nerve to do it. I mean, it is Maui is spectacular. I went to Maui, the Big Island, and Kauai, and Maui was my favorite. It's
Yep.
just incredible.
We call it a Goldilocks Island. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. And we have lots of culture, we have lots of beauty, we have lots of enough roads to drive around. We have you know alternate paths so we don't get stuck in traffic. It really is. It is the most perfect place in the world.
So exactly how many years are you there now?
22 years we've been here on Maui, and
Wow.
just again really loving every part of it. Moved here. I was a realtor in Illinois, and then moved to Maui, where I also got my license and started selling real estate. And so I've been doing this full time for 22 years, and it's been a great fun journey and a great career. And
I can only
I've met
imagine. I can
met
only
so many.
imagine.
Yeah, I met so many amazing people from all walks of life and all over the world. It's just such. Maui is this crazy melting pot of really positive people. So I just love that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I can't imagine. Even when you're having a bad day, it's probably a great day. Just
It
the
is.
environment. It's spectacular.
Yep. So it is beautiful. The
So tell me, what are you seeing in your market? Everybody's concerned about the shift in the market. Um, Sellers are not getting these enormous over ask bids day one. It's leveling out. I feel like it's becoming more of a stable market and more fair to the buyers because buyers in our market, had to go in day one, 50,000 over, or they didn't even stand a chance. And even then, we had quite a few offers like that, and they still didn't get an accepted offer. Now we're
well,
seeing level off a bit. How about you? Are you seeing the same thing?
it is similar. So now we what I find fascinating in our market is we have limited inventory. We have the least amount of new inbound inventory that I've ever seen in my career in 22 years. So
Wow.
that's really fascinating. We still have buyers. We are a destination location. So there are people who are frustrated with the rest of the world, frustrated with where they live, and it's like, I want to live in Maui. Now we have an exodus of uh, homeowners who are taking the opportunity because the prices have gone up. They're service employees, and it's expensive to live here. So we're seeing this shift in dynamics. However, we still have a great opportunity for properties. We just have a little bit more limited supply, and the buyer pool has gotten smaller. So what I do absolutely love is that no longer do the buyers have to, you know, give up their firstborn to get a piece of real estate. Now they can go in. There's a bit more negotiating happening. There's more opportunity. We still don't have a lot of choices, which is a little frustrating. But if they say we want to buy something, we can usually find them a property, and typically unless it's a brand new property in the market that's really, really well priced. Typically, we can go in and negotiate and get somebody a bit better deal. I mean, we've just sold some properties, some of our listings that were great deals, and one of my sellers, just said, "I really need to sell, so let's just make it go away." And so that was a great option for a new buyer who came in and bought it. But it's, the market continues to go. I laugh when people say, "Oh, the market's in the tank." It's like, well, people still need to buy real estate. Still, people still have. We do a lot of 1031 business, which is a tax deferred exchange where somebody sells their apartment building or one of their rental houses. So we still do a lot of that business where people all over the country are diversifying their real estate portfolio, and so we get a ton of 1031 buyers in here as well, and a lot of cash buyers.
Can you give a quick brief definition of exactly what a 1031 is? Because I don't think a lot of people know what
Oh,
exactly
absolutely. So if you have a piece of investment real estate, you can sell it and do what's called a 1031 tax deferred exchange. It's a federal tax law. And you sell that property. And if you have, let's say you bought it 10 years ago and you paid $500,000 for it and it's worth $1 million today, you could sell that property today and you would have a $500,000 tax liability, meaning you would have to pay, 35% of your taxes, or maybe 40% depending on your tax bracket, in taxes. So that could mean a couple $100,000 in taxes. Where if you did a 1031 tax deferred exchange, you could take that $1 million, reinvest it into a new piece of real estate anywhere in the United States or the United States territories, and not have to pay any taxes until you sold that property. So you have to pay, the taxes are just deferred, they're not eliminated. But you can take that 35% and utilize it for leverage to expand your portfolio and buy somewhere else. I've just done several where I've taken a big property and bought small ones. As I'm planning my retirement strategy, I want to be able to sell little properties in the course of the next 10 years. So there's a lot of strategy that goes around it, with how you can manage and buy. And it's nice that you can buy anywhere in the US, and it allows you to avoid paying taxes. And we all like to avoid paying taxes. The one way that there are a couple strategies, and I would encourage any of the folks that are watching to talk to their tax advisor. More importantly, a 1031 advisor is what I would recommend. That the one strategy that I would like to avoid in avoiding taxes is when you die, you don't have to pay the taxes. But that's not a very attractive one. There's some other ways to work through that 1031 world.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because I think people are going to find that interesting. And if anybody listening wants more information, Tom is a great resource to reach out to. He can go more in depth with that. So
Absolutely.
just so I understand correctly, so if you have that $1 million and you want to go into other properties, it doesn't have to be another $1 million property. You can buy 3 or 4 properties equaling that $1 million. Is that correct?
That's correct. It just has to, and let's say you have $1 million and you have 500,000 in capital gains, couple points. You can spend $900,000, buy three $300,000 properties, and have the $100,000 left over. You would have to pay tax on that. That's called boot. You would have to pay the tax on that $100,000, which is still maybe $30,000, but you could protect 400,000.
That's
The other thing, you can spend $1.1 million and pay no tax, or you can spend exactly $1 million and pay no taxes. There's the term they use is basis. So if you sold the property for $1 million, you would have cost of sale, which maybe is 7%. So you might have a $930,000 basis. You really have to spend $930,000 because the cost of sale comes off the top.
Okay.
So, and the other thing that a lot of people get confused with when they say you have to buy like kind, if they hear, oh, it's got to be like kind. So they interpret that, the consumers interpret that as, oh, if I sell a condo, I have to buy a condo. That's absolutely positively incorrect. When they say like kind, they're talking about if you sell real estate, you have to buy real estate. Meaning if you sell a condo, you can still buy a house or a piece of vacant land. That's totally acceptable. The term like kind came back from when they did the original ruling. They called it was a Starker exchange. You can sell cattle or chattel You just have to, if you sold livestock, you have to replace it with livestock, and that can be a 1031 exchange too. It's not just strictly for real estate. So that's the misnomer that a lot of people have.
Interesting, interesting. So if you had that $1 million in real estate, you can't turn around and say, I want to put it in a 1031 exchange and buy stock. It has to
Correct.
be real estate. Okay.
It has to be real
Okay.
estate, and it's a
Alright.
tangible product too. And most of what we do obviously is real estate, but there are ranchers who might trade 100 head of cattle for 100 head of uh, you know, goats or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
and that's outside of my scope. But that's why that like
That's
kind term
interesting.
came into
That's
play.
interesting. Like
And
kind. Okay. No, that's really, it's fascinating. Great.
good.
Thank you. That was huge. Thank you for sharing that. I think people are really going to be interested in hearing what you have to say. And so tell me, what else about Maui? Like, what is your favorite part about Maui, aside from the everyday beautiful weather? Like, is there any secret spaces that you would like
No,
to share?
I always tell people I moved here for the weather. It's 82 degrees plus or minus 7 degrees every single day of the year. I really, really love that. But what I've come to find out is I stay for the people. The people that move here, the people who can, the positive attitude that you're surrounded by with all the people that live here is overwhelmingly spectacular. Um, when I moved here, I went back home a couple months later, and several people said, and you just said it, I could never do that. And my response is, no, you just choose not to.
Not to,
And
right?
it took me back to that melting pot comment I made before. People look at that melting pot or that glass, is it half full or half empty? And our melting pot is half full because we have this great conflux of people from all over the world that all move here who all believe they can, which
Right.
means that so many of the people that are here on Maui have this positive attitude, and we're surrounded by, generally speaking, an amazingly positive group of people. And that's what I interpret. That's the true aloha spirit from a non-Hawaiian.
Right.
The Hawaiians have this ingrained aloha spirit that's different, but this is the haole aloha spirit, because they're so positive and people cheer for you, they root for you because they're all positive. And living in an environment like that, raising my two daughters in a place like this, it's just been absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely amazing. It's like, people might say something similar about Disneyland, or Disney World, but I think that because I've been to Hawaii, it really is spectacular. And you're right, I chose not to because I couldn't get my whole family to go with me. But at this point in my life, I might be able to do it and come back and visit plenty. So you never
There
know.
you go. Well, I'll have a condo or a house waiting for you right now.
Uh, Tom, what about Airbnbs? Do you have a lot of Airbnbs in Maui or not so much?
We do. We have, I think, about 8,000 of them.
Okay.
And we have, fortunately, we had vacation rentals before vacation rentals were popular, before Airbnb and vacation rental, VRBO, those two, which were the
Right.
mega companies. But we've had this program all for a long time. So we've had laws in place and policies and procedures in our zoning for 30 or 40 years. A lot of Airbnb communities are getting upheaval because the county's changing the rules. You can't do that. You can do this. In Maui, it's all laid out. It's very clear. So if you called me up and said, I want to buy an Airbnb or a vacation rental or a short-term rental or a transient vacation rental, all the same thing, um, it's no problem. I just put you into my program, and I have an automatic system that will just select only the units that are legal for vacation rentals, and you won't get any of the ones that are not legal. So vacation rental properties are great, but they're transient. So that means that your neighbors are moving in and out. There's a lot of activity. Some people like that. Sometimes people say, I don't want a property. I just want a second home where I can come and go. Nobody's sleeping in my bed, and I want to leave it so that I have peace and quiet and serenity. We can do that too. So there's both different options. And some people say, I just want a house. I want to have a garden. I don't want to have an association, all different kinds of things. So we have all of those choices in Maui, which makes it a really great place to look at if you want to move here full time, if you want to move here as a second home, if you want to move here as an investment with an Airbnb, we have all of that covered.
Well, Tom, you are the resource for Maui. So if I have any of my clients or anybody that's listening and they want more information, I am going to recommend 100% go to Tom Tezak in Maui, because you have it all covered clearly.
Yes.
You know, that's wonderful. Listen, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Just one more thing. Do you have any, I ask every realtor this because I feel like everybody's got one. Do you have any like spectacular story out of all of your real estate deals that's something that stands out in your mind? Whether it's, you know, funny, whether it was complicated. I mean, everybody's got a lot of stories, but is there one in particular that may stick out that you'd like
You
to share?
know, one of the stories I share, because I live in Maui and it's a beautiful place. I had my touch of fame. I had the opportunity to meet two really famous people. Um, the lead singer from Aerosmith was really cool. I had the opportunity to just stand on the edge of a lanai and hang out and just chat with him. It was really interesting. And then from Rocky, the actor that played Apollo Creed, and he was so cool. And it was just so much fun to be able to meet those people. But I don't remember people. The cool part about being in Maui is everybody's just here. We don't really focus on fame and that. It's just we just all love being here. So that's really the coolest part about it.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I'm putting Maui on my, I have a whole list of where I want to travel to, but I've told my kids they've never been there. I'm like, I need to get them to Hawaii. But and when I do, I will absolutely be calling you.
I
Tom,
love it. Be
thank you
happy to
so
help.
much. Thank you so much for joining us today. If anybody would like more information, please reach out and we'll chat again soon.
All right. Take care. Aloha.
Aloha.